You guys know that I love weird tech, weird phones, weird tablets. It's like my favorite thing, and boy, do I have a fun one to talk about in today's review. A while back, Unihertz sent me this phone, and from the front, everything seems pretty normal, but as I begin to rotate it, you will see that this thing is preposterously thick, and on the back, there's a giant flashlight. This thing is the Unihertz Tank, and I actually really enjoyed reviewing this phone because it's just so unique and so different, and that is why when 8849 Tech, which is a subsidiary of Unihertz, when they reached out to me and said, hey, we have a Tank tablet, the Tank Pad E. It's got a gigantic 21,000 milliamp hour battery. It has a giant flashlight on the back. And oh, by the way, it has a projector built into it. Do you want to review it? I said, absolutely. Please send it my way. All right, guys, so here is the 8849 Tank Pad E. I mean, with a name like Tank Pad, that's definitely going to invoke a certain idea in your head, and I can tell you that straight away this box is not a light one, so that tells me a bit about what is going to be in this box. One quick thing is it has a 21,000 milliamp hour battery, which is absolutely insane. 10.95-inch display, 12 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, some sort of octa-core processor. I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later. IP68 water and dust resistance. But rather than just continuing to hold this heavy box up, let's open it up and see what this thing is all about. I will say that I kind of like this box. This is kind of cool looking. Kind of tells you what the thing looks like a little bit. And yeah, it just looks neat. So it looks like we have a screen protector packed in, which I do always enjoy seeing. It's cool when the screen protector is pre-installed, but maybe that's just an extra. We'll see. That is going to be the tablet itself right there. Let's see if we can pop this thing out. And it's definitely already in a case, and my goodness, is this thing. It's girthy. It's heavy. Man, there's a lot we're going to have to talk about with this thing. Setting it aside, we have some paperwork, some documentation. This thing, which is like a stand that attaches to the back. I guess we need to get that out. I would imagine that this is a C-to-C cable. And look at this, guys, a 66-watt charging brick. 66-watt charging in this tablet. That is not too bad at all. So this little kickstand piece would attach. Man, that is really, really robust. It would attach right there, and you would use this thing to attach it, and they've given you like a little 8849 coin to attach that thing with. But then, of course, if you want to take off your case that they've come pre-installed, you have to be able to remove that. Let's take off the case and see what it looks like without it. So case removed, there is quite a bit going on here. It's got sort of a rubberized texture right there. This is almost like a carbon fiber look. I'm not exactly sure if that actually is carbon fiber. Probably not. This appears to be a very, very large flashlight, because why not? We have our camera and an LED flash right there. Up here on the top, there's a lot going on. There are several buttons and extra buttons, and I think that that's probably a spot that is guys, a DLP projector. That's something else that we're going to have to talk about here in a minute. That's probably an adjustment little cog for that projector as well. More buttons over here. This appears to be maybe like a SIM tray. It is indeed a dual SIM tray with a micro SD card slot. It's not got 5G, but it does have data, and that's going to make a lot of sense for this device. We'll talk about that more a bit later. And then down here, this looks like a flap that covers up a charging port and a headphone jack, because if you're going to be this giant, this over the top, you really can't justify not having a headphone jack, can you? Let's go ahead and peel that off. And yes, indeed, there already is a screen protector installed, so that one that it came with seems to just be extra. The case itself seems fine, definitely going to give you some additional protection up top. It is a rubberized sort of case, though. We're going to leave it off for now. And we are going to install the kickstand because it just seems right. One kind of funny thing when I was booting this thing up is I didn't actually know which button was the power button. There's two buttons up here, two buttons over here, there's a button over here. Turned out this was the power button. But look at that kickstand already coming in quite handy. All right, guys, so here we are after setup has been completed and we are on our home screen. Looks like a swipe up is going to take us into our app drawer. And as you can see, not a whole heck of a lot in terms of bloatware that is pre-installed. We'll go through as much of this as we can as we kind of move forward. We get our Google feed to the left side. Yes, we absolutely do. This big button in the middle actually turns us into projector mode. If I click on this, you'll see that we get this little warning screen here that's moving into projector mode. And then what's going to happen is that projector is now on. Of course, we'll devote an entire section of the video to that, but that is what that button does. It looks like it's kind of like a widget. We do have a fingerprint scanner and face unlock. I'm going to cover up the camera there so that it does not face unlock me. And we'll see how quick this fingerprint scanner actually works. Boom, there you go. That is actually quite quick. So let's try that again. I'm going to touch it now. Boom, there you go. So fingerprint scanner, face unlock. We'll do face unlock as well. Probably not the most secure thing in the world, but it is pretty quick to authenticate. If we jump into settings, we can see immediately that this is Android 14. And since this is a unihertz device, that's probably exactly where it's going to stay. But guys, I actually just noticed something. Look down here. We have a taskbar. Can I drag this up? Oh man. Okay, so this is actually something that I did not expect to see. We have the functional taskbar down here at the bottom, which might keep you on their default launcher. These icons down here will be what that taskbar shows. So you can have that. You can also have a full app drawer that theoretically we could grab and drag around as well. We have a functional taskbar, guys. That is awesome. So for the next little bit, what I'm going to do is show you some things captured directly from the screen of the tablet, just so that you can see what's going on a bit more closely. Obviously, I have taken the time to set this device up. We're still using that default launcher because I want to keep my taskbar down here at the bottom. You should be able to see my cursor sort of moving around that taskbar. I've also put things into folders to make things work a bit better. Why would I do that? Well, let me just show you quickly. If we jump into, let's just do threads. Actually, CX File Explorer makes more sense because it's not going to force me to auto-rotate the device. You can see my taskbar is still down here, and if I click on a folder, I can see that full folder. Notice how the folder actually changes colors slightly. That's a little bit of a bug, but I just basically have quicker access to more applications that I can then quickly grab and then drag into split screen. So just a little tip there for those of you that may not be used to having a taskbar on Android. Make folders. Makes your life just a little bit easier. I do want to quickly show you a couple of things that do come pre-installed. So Toolbox is kind of interesting. You basically have all of these different little tools and things that you might find useful. So how about a compass? Once it's calibrated, I can rotate this device around and it is operating as a compass. Would that be handy? Would that be useful if you're using this thing while you are camping? I think it would. You've got a bubble level, actually just using the gyroscope to see how flat the ground is. I'm not sure how useful that would be for camping, but maybe it would be. Maybe you're building your own log cabin. Picture hanging, plumb bob, magnifier, pressure. How about the camping light? This thing is actually going to allow you to use that big light on the back. You can set this to the hotkeys on the top. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well, but this will allow you to kind of control it more granularly. I'll switch to the main camera and I can kind of show you this. So here we go, slight bright, that's pretty bright, half bright, and then full bright. My lord, that thing is absolutely insane. You can also do some different modes here like SOS, explosion flash. So again, if you're out there camping and you need that light, you need an SOS signal to alert the planes above to save you, there you go. This thing also has a fan built in. You can go in here and turn this internal fan on, change different speeds. I believe this actually turns on its own when the projector is running, and I think that obviously makes a lot of sense. But you can see quite a bit of different things in this toolbox. You also have this student mode application, so you can hand it to a kid or something like that and turn on student mode, and it's basically going to restrict what they're able to do. There are applications you can whitelist, and then you can set timers for each application as well, and that is also protected by a pin. And then we have the Zaza remote. Something that I guess I didn't even notice is that this thing does in fact have an infrared blaster. So you can basically use this thing as a gigantic TV remote. If we jump into our settings and scroll down to shortcut settings, you can see the option here to program these function keys. And you can actually do quite a bit with them. So I have one of them set to that camping light. You basically press and hold that, it's going to fire up that camping light. The other one, you can go into shortcut settings here and you can actually set it to short press, long press, and then double press. So if I long press the shortcut key we're talking about, it's going to fire up Google Gemini. It actually just launches the full Gemini application. It doesn't just do the pop-up. It's going to launch the actual app. If you want to launch Gemini like normal, you can do a swipe from the corner of the screen in, and that should do just the same thing. But basically, yeah, fully programmable shortcut keys. Do whatever you want with them. Under Intelligent Assistant, we do have that memory extension option where you can basically expand your RAM using storage. It's basically a swap file. I don't really use these features, but it's there if you want it. We also have this option here that says Smart Small Window, and I don't actually know what this does because with it off, I thought maybe this was like a floating window type thing, but you can see here that freeform windows are enabled out of the box, but this is just the basic freeform windows that you get through developer options. They're just already enabled and they don't really work all that well. I'll show you what I mean. If I fire up CX File Explorer, it's just kind of covered up. And if I go back into that setting, and it really makes things act weird. I just tried to go into my recent apps and things got really, really weird and strange. If I turn this on and then I swipe up and hold, it's still just the same freeform window. So I don't really know what this option is meant to be doing. Beyond that, this is a pretty close to stock version of Android. In terms of performance, what I did here is I ran the 3D Mark Wildlife stress test. It basically runs through this benchmark 20 straight times to see if performance, basically where the performance starts and where it ends. You can see here that stability was quite good at 99.4%, and my score was about 1250, and it did not move. Thermals on this thing are evidently rock solid because all the way through to the 20th loop, the score was exactly the same as loop number 1. Not a particularly high score. You're going to be able to do some gaming on this if you want to do that. Like I say in a lot of these videos, stuff like Minecraft, stuff like emulators, you're probably going to get quite a bit done there. You're not going to be playing Genshin Impact at the highest settings though. If we jump into CPU-Z, you can see what this CPU actually is, MT6789V. And if we jump over here, we can see that that is a MediaTek Helio processor that was released Q2 of 2023. So it's definitely not the newest processor on the planet, and that probably explains a bit why their performance is where it is. For normal day-to-day use, it's going to be fine. You're probably going to see some, stutters here and there doing things, but it's definitely not terrible. One kind of cool thing that might go overlooked is the fact that this thing can actually charge your other devices. Right now we are charging my Oppo Find N5 at about 5.5 watts. Is it a super fast charger for your other devices? No. But again, kind of sticking with this theme of taking this thing camping, which is what I think that it's really meant to be doing, that's pretty useful. It's a 21,000 milliamp hour battery. So, plug your other devices into it overnight and you're going to be able to charge them. I guess I need to quickly mention the cameras that it has. This is, look, it's a bad photo, but as tablets go, I have actually seen worse than this. Outside in good lighting, you could probably take a decent photo. The selfie camera, you want to do video calls or something like that. Again, it's not amazing, but I have definitely seen worse than this on other tablets, on other cheaper devices. But now it's time to talk about maybe the strangest feature that this thing has. It has a DLP projector. And guys, I showed you the mount on the back for the kickstand, which is super rigid and will be great for use as a projector or with this projector mode. You can also take that kickstand off and use that mounting hole to mount it on something like this tripod, and that works just as well. After that mode is turned on, you are just projecting exactly what is on your screen. And there actually is some keystone correction. It's not the best that I've ever seen, but it will try its best, and it does a pretty decent job. From there, you can easily just pull up YouTube, Netflix, whatever you want to watch, and just project it on whatever you happen to have. Of course, I have a rather large projector screen that I use with a real deal projector, but this works like shockingly well. This is not some super high resolution projector. Let me get really nice and close. You can try to read some of that text there. It gets pretty grainy. This is not, 1080p, 4K, whatever. It's probably like 480p, 720p at the best. Maybe I'll find the exact spec and show it to you here. If I can't find the exact spec, use my estimate. But it's like way brighter than I expected. I think you can probably tell this room is not like pitch dark by any stretch of the imagination, but like look at that. That's not bad. That's about a 50-inch screen. The only downside to this setup are the speakers on this device. They're both on the right-hand side, so no like real stereo sound, but they just don't sound very good. And we're gonna use Crab Rave as usual to demonstrate that. I've heard cheaper tablets with worse speakers than what this one has, but they're definitely not speakers I would say are good. Good news is you do have that headphone jack, and you can just get like a cheap Bluetooth speaker, and that's probably going to work just fine. But hey, maybe you're in a tent or something like that, and you don't really need that much that crazy of, a set of speakers anyways, because there's not a lot of background noise. And that, like I keep coming back to, I think, is the sort of scenario where this device would absolutely thrive. It is not the cheapest tablet in the world. Let's go back to their listing here where they show that it is on sale for $479. Amazon has it for $599 with a $40 coupon. So you can find cheaper tablets than this for sure. But if you're looking for something that does the things that this thing does, I think it absolutely knocks them out of the park. The battery life is ridiculous. I mean, it's going to last you for days and days and days. And if you're going for a weekend camping trip, you don't have to worry about this thing's battery. Even projecting, it's going to last you a pretty darn long time. They don't have a bunch of software features on here that are just in the way. The launcher is absolutely fine. You can see that I've got my widgets on here. Small bug with that widget there. Sometimes if you rotate, it's Today Weather is the app. Sometimes if you rotate it back and forth, it gets a little bit screwy. I don't know if that's the launcher or if that's the application, but it's not really been a device that's been particularly buggy either. But it is a device that I could see myself just kind of leaving it around the house, because if I'm not using it every day, maybe I pick it up and I use it for a few minutes here or there, I might be able to go literally weeks in between charges of this thing. Right now it's at 65% and it says I have 18 days left on a charge on this thing. 21,000 milliamp hour battery. So if I'm only using it 30 minutes a day here and there, yeah, it's going to be weeks before I'm able to kill this thing. So I guess that's kind of the synopsis for this device. It's not the best tablet in the world, but if you're looking for a tablet that has a projector and a super bright flashlight and a gigantic battery that's going to last you for 3 weeks, that you're going to be able to charge your other devices off of, and that if a bear attacks you, you might be able to use it as a weapon because it's so heavy and thick and ruggedly built, I think you could do a whole lot worse than this thing. Guys, I am going to put a couple of links in the description down below. One link will be to the 8849 Tech website. I don't know if that's going to be an affiliate link or not. The other link will be to Amazon. It will be an affiliate link. So if you click that link and you make a purchase, I will earn commission from that. I'll have them both labeled just in case. I do want to say again, thanks to 8849 for sending this device over for me to review. I've had a blast looking at it, and like all my reviews, no money has exchanged hands for the production of this video, and they are seeing my thoughts in this review at the exact same time as you are. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.